Hey guys, Ultra Maximus back with another Transformers review, and again, continue with the theme tonight. I'm going with another Dark of the Moon Bayformer. This time, it's a Cyberverse character, Decepticon Hatchet. And this was an early figure that I picked up, and I picked this character up because he's one of the Decepticons. He's very animalistic looking. He was kind of one of the leg runners, kind of a gorilla looking Transformer, and I really liked that. And you saw this guy kind of twice in the movies, or in the movie, in two different spots, or at least a robot like him. One, you see him running across the moon, running into the space bridge, and then you see him, I believe it's him, on the road in the chase scene. He's one of the dreads that chase the black SUVs that transform and go after Bumblebee, and he's one of those characters, which in fact is kind of odd because the toy is actually a jet. I don't get that, and and that's kind of a shame too, because two things that I really kind of looked forward to figure-wise were the dreads being Crankcase, there was Crowbar, and then Hatchet. And they only made Crankcase. They didn't do Crowbar, who had more of a Predator look. His face really looked like a Predator. And then he had the dreads on there. And this guy really didn't have dreads. He had more of the spiky type things on his head. And another figure I wish they would have done, that I'd like to have seen this in a bigger figure, but another figure I wish they would have done that they didn't do was the garbage truck Decepticon. The great big burly Decepticon looks down and he scans the garbage truck and transforms and drives away. It's the only time you see him, and he was huge. He would have been awesome. So yeah, but anyway, so here he is, Decepticon Hatchet. Kind of reminds me of Autobot Ratchet. Interesting. So we get the Dark of the Moon up here. We get the nice little moon thing going on, and then we've got Hatchet in his kind of robot mode, kind of beast mode, and he's got the Earth behind him because we've got the moon over, so that's kind of cool. He is a Commander class Cyberverse figure. Here's the back. There are his stats and his bio. It says, Decepticon Hatchet enforces his commander's wishes with a merciless efficiency. Fast and heavily armed, this Decepticon is not to be underestimated. His four-legged robot mode allows for superior mobility on the galaxy's roughest terrain. So, and his attack drones convert into cannons. Okay, sure. Yeah, so he's a jet fighter. And they only made this guy in the Cyberverse size, so that's kind of unfortunate, but he looks pretty cool in his little package. Decepticon Hatchet with our Decepticon logo. Yeah, I mean, not too much. There's kind of looking down into the case there. So yeah, there he is. Let's get him out of this package and see what he looks like in his robot mode. Okay, so here we have Hatchet out of box, and I gotta say, this guy is pretty darn cool. I'm impressed with this little figure. I wish, looking at this size figure, looking at this mode, I wish they made a Voyager class at least of this figure. I'd like to have seen a leader class. This is a great looking little figure. It's got very good detail. It's got a lot of cool paint apps, lots of gold paint, lots of detail, a lot of panels. I mean, look at his arm. It's just filled with all kinds of gears and panels and cool stuff like that. His face actually looks really cool. He stands very beast-like, which is pretty awesome. And that's very different from the other figures and characters, and I really, really like that. He's very apish looking, like a cross between an ape and some kind of cat, and it's very nice. His arms are extremely articulated. You can get some very, very nice poses out of them. There's one ball joint. You've got a hinge. He's got a hinge here, and it makes for some really, really nice looking little poses, monkey-like poses he can do. His back legs are kind of haunched, which is kind of cool, and they can kind of curl up a little bit. He's on a ball joint there. So, yeah, and he's got this little tail with the kind of spine thing going on. That's obviously the cockpit, and it kind of comes down, which is very, very cool. Here's his underside, which is kind of rib cagey looking. His head's coming up out of the jets. Now, the one thing that's kind of neat, they're like drones, I guess. They're little machine guns here. They just flip, and they turn into, I guess, spy drones. And you just flip them out, and they got this cool looking little machine gun, which is very neat looking, that just attaches onto his little wing. I can see it here. There it is. Blink. Which is very cool. And he's got this little Decepticon logo up under one of the wings, rear wings, which is kind of nice. It's kind of like a little collar pin or something, so that's very cool. Yeah, he's, for a little cyber figure, this guy is pretty darn neat. And, it's kind of funny because I'm not a fan of Bayformers, and this is the second Bayformer today that has really impressed me. So I really like the Shockwave figure, and this one's turned out to be very, very raucous. I love the way those little machine guns look on his wings. I mean, he just looked really, really impressive. Can you imagine this figure the size of, leader class Ironhide? It'd be awesome. It'd be very, very cool. So let's see what he looks like in jet mode. Okay, so here is Hatchet in his jet mode, which is very cool looking, except for one issue. And this is so sad because this figure looks awesome in jet mode, except for these hands that are hanging out the back of his wings. I mean, even the underside looks pretty decent. I mean, we got some robot kibble under there, but it's pretty tightly hidden with the bulky extra stuff. It's just those hands. It's so disappointing. If they could have just made the thumb maybe come up, spin it around, and flip it underneath those engines, because let me explain why. This is a level 1 figure. It doesn't transform like a level 1 figure at all. The back piece, even where his head flips up, it was kind of confusing me because there's a piece here that you got to flip up to get the head down, and then it just so seamlessly gets hidden. The detail on the fuselage is amazing. I mean, you got the nice gold stripes, just all the paneling, the front end. Look at those intakes on the jet is awesome. And then, he looks a lot like Sky Shadow, doesn't he? His jet mode. He's even got, look how detailed that landing gear is. I mean, it's just really nicely done. And he's got these cool little machine guns here on the side. And that was something, his little thing can deploy here. That was something that got me in the transformation because I had it sitting like this, and I couldn't figure out that this part flipped up to make these little machine guns that actually look really cool and got the nice barrels so that this could fit on there. And it was, it was kind of interesting. It transformed more like a deluxe figure than it did a Cyberverse figure, which was very impressive to me. I mean, he's got the little Decepticon logo. The jet is just, the twin jets are just amazing looking. And then, with the machine guns, I mean, he just downright looks awesome. I would love to see this in a bigger mode, or bigger toy. It would have been fantastic. And then, this is cool. His little machine guns pop out of the little drones, so he's got 4 machine guns coming at you. How awesome is that looking? And then your little, this would have been great as a kid because, I'd have the little drone come down, turn into the drone, and fly off. That would have been awesome as a kid. This is a great little toy. And it's kind of nice because this is 2 Bayformers figures out of the Dark of the Moon that have really impressed me. So out of the 4 figures, this is probably my second favorite figure, right behind Shockwave. The Power Glide was a cool figure. I will give him that. He was very cool. Shockwave was a lot cooler. And I think this guy is neater than Power Glide because he's different. I like his kind of beastie-like robot mode, and just some really great detail. So I haven't really liked Bayformer figures since a handful of the first movie figures. So yeah, man, if this had a leader class, I would have been all over that. It's a shame that, you know, it was only produced in this figure, and even though he's not the SUV he's supposed to be, sure, that's okay. It delivered for me, so, and that says a lot coming from me on a Bayformer. So there he is. I'll post a picture of his the SUV, the Dreads version of him from the movie, and then I'm also going to put a picture up of the garbage truck Decepticon. I really would have liked to have seen as a figure. I think that would have made a very cool figure, and they could have repainted it in Retgar colors to get a Retgar figure as an homage to the animated series. So yeah, there he is. If you see this guy, I do recommend pick him up. I picked him up, I think, for $9.99. If you can find him, definitely pick him up. He's absolutely worth it. Very fun little Decepticon jet.